as a person, I was very broken. I'd become quite damaged, and I found it hard to see life beyond what was happening there and then. I was in a 15-year domestic violence marriage. I was constantly in flight or fight mode where I was on edge, tender hooks all the time, trying to protect the children, trying to protect me. When I finally realised that there was so much more fear in staying in that kind of relationship than the unknown and than leaving, and having the confidence to go and do that was a huge thing for me. It was a little while after that I'd got remarried and living in a new place and everything else when disclosure was taking place of sexual abuse. When she told me that her father was sexually abusing her, I held it all together in front of her but fell apart behind the scenes. We decided that the best thing for us to do was to go to the school because they have a mandatory disclosure, so they had to tell. And that's what we did, and that's how the police got involved. The very next day we just got hold of it straight away. The kids came and stayed with us permanently. We tried to manage life from then on. It was tough, it was really hard. My husband had kids in Australia. He couldn't come home to them straight away. I was falling apart. I felt guilty. I felt like I'd let them down. I felt broken. I was already dealing with my own healing, and all of a sudden this was just amplified all the pain that was going on in my head at the time, where it felt like everything could come crashing down. And you know, when you see the world just carrying on around you and you're stuck in this position and wow, everyone else has no idea exactly, my world has just stopped. Everything is broken. Yeah, it was quite a hard time.
To see such a beautiful human being be treated the way that she was by, I can only call a monster, it blew my head off. I just couldn't understand it. Everything that she went through, everything that she experienced, a normal human being would not be able to survive that. And yet she's risen from the ashes, and you know, I don't believe for 1 minute that her name is Zina by mistake. That Zina warrior princess has risen its head quite extraordinarily, and I'm just so proud to be walking alongside her, because every day I see this woman that is extraordinary and battles everything. Not only is she a wonderful mum and an incredible wife, but she's a great friend to so many people, and she's got this ability to be able to show people just what love really is, in spite of the amount of trauma and abuse that she's had to cop and face personally on her own journey, but also then to witness what she's had to witness with her own children.
Well, my mum, Zina, I think the evidence speaks for itself with At the Ark and with Brave Little Bear, and with the amount of families that she has helped, the amount of families or people that would say, you know, I wouldn't be who I am today, or I wouldn't be alive today if I didn't have Zina or At the Ark supporting me through everything that has happened. Obviously for me it's a little bit different. Zina is my mum, so we had to navigate what to do together with my mum, with Simon, and with all of the children in England and in Australia. We had to figure out how to do it, and I think that's why At the Ark and Brave Little Bear is so important to myself, is because I saw, well, I was part of the fallout of the abuse, and we had to figure out and we had to learn that there was no support at the time, and that's where Zina comes in and Simon comes in. It is to kind of just bring out the abuse, I guess, and to bring out the strength in people so they can tell and so that they can live through it.
So I've written 3 books. It's a series of resource called Brave Little Bear. Now, Brave Little Bear writes to different members of the family. So you've got book 1, which is 3 to 7-year-olds. It just gently introduces who he is, what he's been through, and it introduces self-protective behaviours in a very gentle, rhyming way. And it's just to help those uncomfortable conversations and make them a lot more comfortable. And book 2, Brave Little Bear, speaks to 6 to 12, 13-year-olds, talks about fear feelings, online safety, body consent. It's a bit more in your face. It still rhymes, but it is crucial for children to read this, to understand this. And then there's book 3, where Brave Little Bear speaks to adults, safe bears. He writes a brave letter to safe bears, safe adults. It's so important for adults to get this concept.
The last series is fantastic for parents that just want that little bit more information, how to deal with the children, and obviously on the back too there's references to get extra help through at the ARC.
And it deals with each aspect for children, for parents, what to watch for, and it teaches both that it's okay to talk about these things. The Brave Little Bear series teaches them to talk about it now and get this dealt with and done with now. I think that's the most important thing.
So the Brave Little Bear books, if they were available back when I was a child, it would have impacted in multiple amount of ways. In one way, it would have impacted me as a kid, knowing who to talk to, my sisters, who to tell what to do. In another way, after everything broke out, when I was about 13ish, we had people come to us say, oh, we knew that there was something funny about that person. We had a suspicion, or, we had an inkling that he was abusive or, not a good dad or something, and we didn't know what to do. So if there was something telling kids what to say and adults how to react if they just had an inkling, then maybe, a childhood of abuse would have not happened, or, would have been caught on a lot quicker, and a lot of the trauma that happened from it would have been cut short.
So the whole thing about Brave Little Bear and the book series is all about self-protection. I can't stress this enough. I absolutely and utterly believe that if we can get this into the hands of our children right across the country, we're going to save lives. This series has been so sensitively written that anybody can read it and not get offended. But the message of protection is so clear that anybody can read it.
My big vision for these books is to see these books in every single primary school classroom in Australia, because if we can get these into the children's hands, I know we can make a difference. The other vision I have for this book is I want to see it animated, because I know that we can reach a different demographic of families, the Indigenous communities. They love stories, but they don't necessarily want to read a book. And so if we can do both, I think I can reach so many more people. So our vision for At the ARC is really to support families, to prevent and to educate.
One thing that we found was that us as parents or us as adults were having to cater for our children whilst they were going through trauma. One of the things that Zena says often is that broken families can't help broken children. So our aim is to help families holistically.
Why don't we fix this to start with? Why don't we go back to where our children are born, look at how our parenting skills are, maybe look at how our environment is where we bring our children up, and what are we teaching them and how are we teaching them, and do we have all the tools necessary? Organisations like Simon and Zines At the ARC, they give those tools. They're teaching people not only what to look for, but how to talk about it, and that's the biggest thing. Talking about this and making it a subject of conversation everywhere in this country today. We have to be talking about it and protecting our babies from day one.
Well, we need people's support. You know, the thing is, you can't do this stuff on your own. And we've said before that it's one of the most difficult subjects to talk about. But practically, people can do many things. They can come along and they can volunteer. They can come along to events just like our gala event and help us out with raising funds. Financially, you know, there's your big issue. You know, we can't do anything without money. It's something that Zena alluded to before. It's probably not our strongest point, because our major heart is to actually help people, not to pull money out of them. But in reality, we can't do anything without funds. So, you know, for like the gala event is all about raising funds, and the reason we want to do that is so that we can advance and get some other programs into place so that we can help more people. The whole idea of this gala is to raise $20,000 so that we can animate the Brave Little Bear book series, so we can get it into the Indigenous communities and into the communities of the South Pacific and throughout schools throughout the country, because we absolutely and utterly believe that if we can do this, we will literally save lives. The amount of people that have, you know, sadly have taken their own lives as a direct result of the abuse that they suffered as children is astronomical. You know, we know of plenty of people ourselves that have walked that journey and unfortunately have ended up in that plight. But we don't want that. We don't want to rest on our laurels. We want to keep going. So people can help us by doing many things.
I'm actually their little brave bear, so I wear their mascot. No one knows I'm in there. Often I have people trying to peek in to figure out who it is that's inside there. So I quite like it. It's quite fun. I just want to thank Simon and Zine from the bottom of my heart. This is why I'm jumping on board to do whatever I can to encourage and to hopefully get some extra funding and support from especially the government, because they just do an exceptional job. I mean, I don't think I'd be here. I was seriously contemplating, I don't want to say suicide, but I was at my wit's end, and these guys were the champions in every sense.
As a child, being abused shapes your life. It gives you a very distorted view on life and a very distorted lens. Back in those days, I would have liked to have seen organisations such as At the Ark in existence, because we spent 40 years going through life not being believed.
So if you're experiencing any form of abuse, I'd first of all like to say that you're valued, you are important, and you deserve so much more. And so in that, make a noise, you know. It's very important for you, for your identity, that you tell someone, and you don't be ashamed, don't be scared. It doesn't make you any less of a person. In fact, telling someone only speaks to your boldness and your strength.
Somebody who's had to survive this are going to survive it for the rest of their life. They're always going to be scars and the trauma attached to that.
It's nice for them to see a vision of what could be their future, that, I am going to get through this. This is just a season.
Yeah.
It is just a passing moment. And you actually understand how I'm feeling right now. And that's really important.
My name is Brave Little Bear, and there are things I want to share. Little cubs need to know they're protected and won't ever be neglected. Keeping kids safe is everyone's job, and you're included as part of that mob. I believe there is never an excuse to cause any kind of hurt or abuse. So if I can help to equip a clan, it's all part of At the Ark's plan. I'm asking you to invest so together we can protect your little nest. Thank you so much for sharing my dream. Together we make such a great team.